10864. Stations your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
This is back out for a three. Left wing is good.
Deep to right field at the warning track. See ya.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
At the buzzer.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now. It's really fun to be a part of.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Huge win for Oregon.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Good day to be a Duck. We can officially announce a 5-star addition to the Oregon football roster. Josh Connerly, a 5-star offensive tackle, one of the highest-rated recruits to ever sign with the Ducks, and congratulations to Dan Lanning and his staff for joining a group of elite recruiters that are able to close a guy like that. Josh Connerly, officially a Duck, a huge 5-star addition to the Oregon offensive line. Just gets better and better, doesn't it? And the spring game can't get here soon enough on April 23rd. A 1 o'clock start to the spring game. Duck Day, as we're calling it around Oregon Athletics. There is a lot going on, including a lot of interviews today. Byron Cardwell, Camden Lewis, Bennett Williams, Chase Cota. They all met with the media. We have those interviews for you from Oregon football coming up. Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com, will join us, talk a little bit about football, the Diamond Sports, and actually this afternoon I'm headed up to Seattle, the great Purple North. Whew. Yeah. Washington. 3-game set for Oregon baseball Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7, 2, and 2. That means no Duck Insider for you on Friday with a 2 o'clock baseball game because we're live here in the 1 o'clock hour. Terry Johns has you covered on Duck Insider tomorrow. Going to hear from Mark Wazakowski. Going to hear from Melissa Lombardi. Also, we actually just talked with Derek Radley, Oregon women's golf head coach, number 2 in the nation. And they're hosting the Pac-12 championships coming up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at Eugene Country Club next week. Let's go Ducks, huh? Derek Radley, he was fired up. Also, some new additions to Oregon men's tennis. We'll tell you about all of that coming up. But we're beginning today zeroing in on the running back position and also getting a little bit of the behind the scenes of the guy who coaches the running backs. He's known as the walk-on coach. I think you're going to understand why by the time you're done listening to Carlos Locklyn. He met with the media yesterday. We begin a busy interview-filled Duck Insider with that here today. Carlos Locklyn.
The guy who you end up bringing over with you in Noah, and just what was it that, obviously, the relationship you already had, you coached him last year, but what does he add to your room? What does he bring to your room?
Noah is just a hard-working kid that I had at the other school, WKU. Extremely talented, takes on the same mindset I have, just a kid that comes to work, as Coach Landon said, a lunch pail worker, come to work and works hard. And that's what I saw in the kid, his passion for the game. He's truly passionate about the game, details. He wants to be great. And so that's what I saw when I first got there in Bowling Green. When I saw that kid, this kid is extremely talented, and I'm blessed to have him here and thankful that he wanted to come here so I can continue to work with him.
What has stood out about your guys so far, particularly after Saturday? It sounded like at least 3 of your guys scored touchdowns on Saturday. So just what stood out about your group so far? They all
bring different skill sets. Byron's a great guy in space, catching the ball. Sean Dawes, I'm proud of him. He has gotten better, taken to my coaching because I'm more of a military style type of coach. I don't use profanity with my kids. If you ever come out there, they'll tell you, but I get in them. So I'm proud of him on taking on the discipline aspect of things and realize that I run my room. But I'm so proud of him and his development, how he's gotten better. He can do it all. He can run between tackles, catch the ball, get him in space instead of getting better. Noah Whittington is Noah Whittington. If y'all been out there, you got a chance to see him, hard-running kid. He can catch the ball, plays good without the ball. But all three together, we'll have something special with those three.
A couple of months ago, we got to see a video of Dan Lanning FaceTiming you with some of your former players, talking to you about the job and stuff. What kind of experience was that for you, just seeing your guys, seeing this new coach connect with your guys like that?
Well, anybody that knows me knows that those 5 guys from Memphis, they mean a lot to me, just outside of the football, because I wasn't a running back coach there per se, but I always carried myself as that. I didn't care what my title said. I know I'm here to serve these kids, and I still live by that. So those 5 guys mean a lot to me, and the other running backs that I had, and I pour into their life. So that was special to have them guys on that call, and those guys wanted to be on that call. And they know the journey that I had to get into this profession. But for the past 3-4 years, those guys get a text from me every morning, because it's about the relationship with these kids. I tell kids all the time, the football aspect for me, that's second. I'm really in this to pour into these kids, because the only thing they learn from me is how to run power, counter, and pass block. I don't fail them, I don't fail myself, and I don't fail their parents. So I pour into these kids. That's what's important to me.
How much fun has it been to watch those guys go on and have such success at the NFL level?
I mean, it's been fun. I mean, they don't like getting phone calls from me sometimes, like when they put the ball on the ground or they got the ball in the wrong spot, and they know they better answer the first time I call. They'll tell you they never call me Coach Lock. Those 5 guys, they call me Coach Meatball. So they know when I call, and I will hear Darren Henderson, Tony Pollard, or Gibson, or Gainwell, or Patrick Taylor, Meatball, what I do wrong. But I love those guys, because, like I said, I really wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for those 5 guys. I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for Dan Lanning or Kenny Dillingham or Joe Lawrence. If it wasn't for Dr. Sherman Morris, these guys I'm naming that was there in Memphis. No, I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for Josh Storms. I most definitely wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for Mike Norvell. So those relationships means everything to me.
Tell us a little bit more about your background, Carlos. And obviously you were a high school coach in Memphis as well, but it's hearing also that you were in law enforcement prior to that. So just tell us a little bit about how did you get into even Memphis high school coaching?
Now, I was a ball player myself, and I had an injury. I was an undrafted free agent with the Giants, got up there, and I had an injury, and I ended up, getting out of football. I played arena football for a while, and I was done with football. And I went in law enforcement. I've been a correctional officer. I've been a police officer, and I did some special detail work for the government. And once I got in doing that, I wanted to give back to the community. And I never look at myself as a college coach. I represent the high school coaches of Memphis, Tennessee. I represent those guys, because it's going to be somebody that come after me, so it's important that I succeed. So I got into coaching high school football there in the great city of Memphis. I did that for 8 years, helping building up coaches' programs, running the offense, instilling discipline into their weight room programs. And I got the bright idea that I told my wife, I said, this is what God want me to do. I want to coach football. So I got the bright idea. I walked over there to Memphis and literally just started coaching and pouring into young men. So that's why the term, everybody, what's the walk-on coach? I literally walked into this profession. I still work my job 12, 14 hours at nighttime, and I showed up at every meeting. I would sleep in my car in the parking lot, show up at every meeting, one late, go home, sleep for a little while. I did that for 2 years. Then Mike Norvell made me the director of high school relations. I did that for a year. Then he took me to Florida State as a director of high school relations. Then I got the job at Western Kentucky and stayed there last year for a little while. Then I had the interview here. They interviewed me. Kenny Dillingham interviewed me. They weren't gonna give me anything, and I didn't want to be given anything, because I still approach this job every day with a walk-on mentality. Ain't nobody gonna give me nothing, so I don't give my guys anything. I still work like I'm the guy who's showing up at Memphis every day, sleeping in my car, changing the bathroom in hopes of just getting a locker and another shirt. And that's the approach I take every day, and it rolls off on my players. I ain't giving you nothing. You're going to work for everything.
And that job you had at the time was as a high school coach, and you were doing from the high school side to
the high school part. I was a volunteer coach, like the neighborhood coach. I didn't work in the high schools. I just showed up every day. And I didn't show up at 3 o'clock. I came up there to school at 11 or 12 because I wanted to see if my guys were sitting in the first row. When teachers started having problems with the kids, they weren't calling the football coach. They called me. And I get up out my bed and go up there and see about my kids, because that was important to me. We all should be in this business to serve these young men, and that's what I'm here for.
And one of the law enforcement details you got was SWAT, right?
Yeah, some aspect of that. I carried a rifle for a little while, so that working that job taught me a lot. It taught me discipline. It taught me just how to be a good teammate. Like I said, I'm here to serve Coach Landon. I'm here to serve his kids, Coach Dillingham. Every coach I'm around, I'm here to serve them to make sure they achieve their goals and dreams. Because for me, man, a lot of people say I'm supposed to be here. So I take that approach every day. I'm ultra competitive. So
to the on-the-field part, how do you go about marrying what you were just doing at Western Kentucky, which was the leading passing attack in the country, with a HUNH concept, which is, I'm going to say purely run. It's not. There's plenty of passing involved, but there's a lot of running. There's a lot more running, certainly, than when you were doing it just Western last year.
I mean, we ran the ball at Western. We had the numbers. Zach Keatley, who is now the OC at Texas Tech, we ran the ball when we had the numbers, but it taught me a lot about the passing game, pass protection. I was able to get even better at that. And the running game part for me, that was the easy part. So come here and being back in the running game, and I've been around Coach Dillingham at Memphis, at Florida State, so I know what his expectations are. So that part has been easy for me.
Because of your background, here, Coach, past 3 or 4 years here, there's been a lot of continuity at running back, as I'm sure you know, with C.J. Averdale and Travis Dye. Now in spring, it really feels like the carries are up for grabs. With the guys that you have on the roster, how do you feel like they kind of complement each other?
Hey, like I always tell people, them things will sort themselves out. For me, the standard here, when I first got here, was to reach out to Coach Campbell and to reach out to every one of those backs, because that's the standard. And it's my job to get that room back to that standard. I know there's other running back coaches that came after Coach Campbell, but to me, from 1983 to 2016, that guy, he the standard. And if there's anybody I want to model myself after, it's Coach Campbell. And he would text me, I would text him, I would text some of the running backs that have been here to let them know, man, I respect what y'all done here. And it's on me to get that room back to the standard.
You mentioned Coach Campbell and past running backs. When you got guys like LaMichael James and Anthony Thomas coming back for the spring game, what does that mean for you? How excited are you to kind of get with them and talk to them and work with them?
It means a lot. I talked to both of them. I talked to LaMichael. I talked to KB, Kenyon Bunner. I talked to DeAnthony. These guys and give me their numbers. I talked to Ruben Drones, Jeremiah Johnson, Dino Filia, who's here. All these guys, I reached out to these guys. LeGarrette Blunt. They done gave me all their numbers. These guys talk to and be able to try to build a relationship with. Because like I said, for me, this business is all about relationships. And like I said, if I was to leave here tomorrow, I want guys to know, man, I cared about my kids. I'm passionate about football. Every day I take the job as if, I'm the best developer of the running back position. I take that personal when I see other coaches say that. Hell, I don't even wrote coaches like, oh, hey, thank you for that motivation. When they say, well, I got the best developer. No, you don't. It's me, but I want that attitude to rub off on my kids. It's not an ego thing, it's just being competitive. And I plan on being the best developer of the position, not just running backs on the field, but men off the field.
I feel like you have a special appreciation for the walk-ons as a walk-on running back, because this spring you started, I think, with 2 scholarship guys, and you have a bunch of them out there. Do you feel like you have a special appreciation for what they offer the program?
Well, for me, I don't have walk-ons in my room.
Okay.
I treat all my guys get it. All of them on scholarship to me, because I'm going to coach all of them the same. I said the same thing when I was at WKU. If you ever go back and hear an interview there, I don't have walk-ons in my room, because all of them going to get it from me. I'm going to pour into each and every one. I'm not going to sell no kid short, because they're here for me to serve them. Whether they got financial aid or whether they don't, I don't care. I'm a coach.
Coach, can you talk about the feeling that you have when you watch one of your guys in the NFL, like Antonio Gibson scored 3 touchdowns on a big Thanksgiving game? What is that feeling for you when you watch him have such a big moment?
Well, I ain't feel good about that one because he scored a touchdown against my Cowboys. So I'm happy. I'm happy for those guys. But as much as those guys, as I pour in those guys, those 5 guys, they know the journey. They poured into me. They motivate me. Like I tell everybody, I wasn't a running back coach at Memphis. That wasn't my title. But I never carried myself in anything else but that, so I could prepare for this moment. And I poured into those young men. It didn't matter the title. Titles are what? They're giving. I worked my butt off. Those kids know, so guess what I end up earning from them in the end? I earned their respect and their love. So that was important to me, and I'm happy for those guys, and that's why I stay in contact with them. Love each and every one of them.
That's so awesome hearing from Carlos Locklyn. Just the relationship-based coaching. He comes at it that way. I love it. Oregon running back coach meeting with the media. It's brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with cancer care you can count on. When we return, we're going to talk a little more spring football. Also, Niara Sabali to the Liberty. Saw the picture of her and Sab together today. That's some good pro-duck action right there. Rob Moseley's going to join us coming up. Got some more interviews on the way on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
My daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Joey Mack here with you. Rob Moseley is here, ladies and gentlemen, making the entrance. You know, that was well-timed. That was well done. He is the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com, Rob Moseley. Hi, Rob. How the heck are you?
I was hoping to see Bryce Harper hit.
Oh.
But JT Realmuto worked the count.
So
I had to come down and miss Bryce Harper hitting.
Well, all right. Are we on MLB TV?
I don't know that. I have the app. The
right,
MLB.TV.
so it's on MLB TV?
Not like the channel, I don't think.
Yeah,
I think
but,
you'd have to, like, stream
right,
the game.
But Rob.
Oh, yeah.
But
okay,
Rob,
got it. Yeah.
I mean, we might be able to make this happen for you because I don't know if everybody knows this. I've often said that broadcasting is multitasking.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what it is. But the truth of the matter is, Rob has it on his phone. The truth of the matter is that Rob might be one of the most split-focused yet productive people I've ever met.
I don't know if we've discussed this on the air, but I was reading an article recently about trying to balance multiple tasks.
And?
That essentially the human brain is not set up to juggle more than 2 tasks at a time.
Sure.
And if you're trying to functionally do more than 2 tasks at a time, you are as productive as if you were like smoked a joint and tried 1 task.
Really?
Yeah. So basically, I'm stoned all the time.
That's Rob Moseley, everybody, the editor-in-chief. You know, I feel like I've read a lot of that too, and I agree. Like, you know, multitasking. You know, growing up, you're always told like don't multitask because then you're not being as productive. But it's kind of the nature of what you and I do. Like, you do have to pay attention to multiple things at once.
No doubt. Yeah, I found myself at one point this morning with 2 games streaming on my two baseball games streaming on the 2 TVs in the front room, and then I have like dual screens on my laptop. So I was like cycling between both screens, checking email on one and doing something on the other.
I mean, Rob, standard night.
And it was you have those moments of clarity. Like, am I actually doing anything right now? Like, how well am I processing the information? What did the last guy in that game do? Right? Yeah. And I could generally keep track, but yeah,
Is the sound on? for these?
No,
okay,
no,
so
no.
you're a sound off guy.
Yeah. Maybe it was for one of them.
I'm usually a sound on for one,
right?
And then if there's like multiples, I turn the sound up and get competing sounds. So
or turn them both off and turn a podcast on.
Could
why
do
not
that.
have a fifth thing going?
That a lot of times it's music in my house. As
music's different because that can kind of
background
help you focus. Yeah,
Right.
like if I'm in a game, I'll have headphones on and I'll be blaring like In Flames or something. Like,
of course you are,
just screaming heavy metal.
If you
but
are
like, I'm not really processing that. It's just blocking everything else and like getting me hyper focused on the game.
If you're ever at a game, truthfully, and you walk by and you look at media row, at least half have headphones on.
Right.
Like it is kind of the way of like doing that.
Sometimes just because the guy next to you is a little chatty and you're not interested.
I understand.
That happens too.
Well, sometimes the guy next to Rob is chatty for his job and wears headphones, and so then Rob wears headphones so he doesn't have to listen to the broadcast.
Man, this just got awkward. That's not what I was implying at all.
But it's true. He's Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. You and I have shared a press row a many a time.
Yep.
You actually just got me thinking about this because you probably saw it going around Twitter yesterday. I was going to ask you about this because that would be kind of fun. I asked H it yesterday. Like, describe your best sports moment in the most boring way possible.
Oh, right. I thought yours was great. Yours was fantastic.
Thank you. So, but it was so cool, Rob, for me to sit there and be thinking about it because I wanted to come up with something Oregon, centric. And let's be honest, like,
that was awesome.
8 of my top 10 in my life are Oregon centric.
Right.
Well, but it's also like you have to think about like describing when Jameis Winston fumbled in the Rose Bowl. Like,
right.
There really isn't a boring way to describe that play.
Right.
That like is good for the.
I was thinking the first thing that jumped to mind was I would just say Kenny Wheaton scored.
But that's not a boring way to say it.
Right. But how do you find a boring way to describe like a Raven Rodgers coming from behind to win that 4x4 to clinch that Triple Crown? Raven ran fast and the Ducks won a third natty.
Right.
Like that sounds
and
awesome.
See, in hindsight, because mine was a guy from Eugene sunk a putt in Eugene.
Right.
I should have said made a putt.
Right.
That's more boring than like sunk a putt.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't get too descriptive there.
Right. So anyway, I was just curious. Like, and the reason I brought this up to HJ is like, you and I have discussed this a lot before. Like, you kind of have to pinch yourself sometimes, right? That like we're sitting here discussing the fact that we're ridiculous and we're multitasking, watching sports.
Yeah.
And we do it for a living.
No, I hung around in California last week. Did I not come on with you last week?
You did not. You were on a golf course
right.
watching Oregon
so
women's
because
golf make
I
a big
was
comeback.
gone, right? Yeah, and then ultimately not.
But that's okay. It was a big comeback.
It was awesome. It was
great.
awesome. For a few minutes there, it was pretty awesome. It was actually shades of that 2016 men's golf tournament because it was like suddenly it's like, are we gonna have to go hole by hole here and like see who's making a birdie and who's making a bogey and but that one other thing that jumps to mind real quick. The 2016 men's national championship.
Okay.
In the final for the teams, it was Oregon against Texas.
Yep.
Ducks won 3-2. They won 3 of the 5 matchups. Aaron Wise, who just won the individual title,
lost.
Mm-hmm. Who did he lose to?
Boy, that is. I can go. I'm thinking through that roster because Scotty Scheffler was on. It was Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler.
So Scheffler was on that roster.
Yeah, you're a Masters champion.
Yeah.
Scotty Scheffler.
Not bad, huh?
What I was going to say, though, is being at that tournament last week, my brother, I went and visited him overnight Sunday after the softball-baseball trip, and then he drove me to Napa for the Silverado Showdown.
For wine.
No. No, we were grown-ups. It was a rare time during work hours. And so he like dropped me off at the course, and it was like, well, he's a teacher, and he was on spring break, and his kid was on spring break. So it was like, well, I mean, you got nothing going on. I mean, just why don't you come out here?
Yeah.
And they ended up staying out there almost the whole round. I say whole round. We had to drive up, so I missed a few of the first holes, but that's details. Anyway, and there were a couple different times just walking the course with my brother. I was like, can you believe like this is the student athlete's life, and like this is my life, and we're just hanging out on a country club on a Monday, watching these kids play golf.
Yeah.
In a high-level tournament, and if you don't stop and smell the roses every once in a while, you're a moron.
Or the freshly cut grass.
And you'll go crazy. I mean, it's just, Lord knows there's days that aren't as great. couple football games against Utah jump to mind.
Yeah.
So, you have to appreciate those good moments too. So, yeah, that was a moment of clarity like that. Like, man, this is fun. This is awesome. Like,
that's cool.
And that wasn't even, is the 2022 Silverado Showdown going to go down in my memory banks? No, probably not. But that's even a better reminder that even on just random days, we're phenomenally lucky to do what we do.
Absolutely. And I feel like, I thought that was a really cool, fun thing to see on social media, because some of the others that I saw, like I think it was Jared Mack from 24/7 that was like, a bunch of college players beat Team USA in a basketball game.
Right.
That
was a good one.
And I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, that didn't even come to mind for me right away. And then as soon as I read that, I had that flashback moment of sitting between Terry and Bev, having to turn down the crowd mic because Matthew Knight Arena got so loud when Sabrina hit that shot that it was like, whoa. I mean, that's, anyway, it's cool.
I think my non-Oregon one would be when UCLA beat Adam Morrison in Oakland.
Okay.
All those years ago.
So what's the boring way to describe it?
No idea.
Okay.
Guy with mustache cries at center court.
That's good. That's pretty good. That can't happen very often. I feel like a lot of people would get that one.
But wouldn't you also be like, whoa, tell me more?
Well, you would, but isn't that part of the intrigue?
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
You're the wordsmith, so I figured you'd be good at this. So you and I are both just professional regurgitators.
I was like, I'm taking an L on this one because yours was so good. I was like,
thanks,
I
man.
moved on with my day.
Oh.
I was like, that's awesome. That's a great one. I'm not even going to bother.
All right. Thanks, man. Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. I haven't even asked you about spring football yet.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Whoa. That's a way to frame it.
Yeah.
It's like those guys who walk up to a coach post-game for the interview and are like, so.
What do you think?
It's such an intriguing time with a new coach and a new staff and a bunch of new players and you can't help but already look toward the season and start to wonder kind of how things are going to play out based on what we're seeing, and yet also acknowledging it's so early and there's so much work still to be done this spring and over the summer and in preseason camp, and so that jumping to conclusions is silly right now, but that's what we do as sports fans. So, it's different enough to be fun and intriguing that way, but also it's sort of that normal standard, hope springs eternal time of year. Like, all right,
optimism.
Here's all these reasons to be excited. Yeah. And then of course there's also questions that have to be answered too. So, the quarterback battle is fascinating.
Yep.
And the way they're working all three of those guys in, clearly it's, hey, let's, really foster a healthy sense of competition between all three of those guys and let the best, the best guy win, and not let anybody get too comfortable. Nothing's being handed to anybody. You talk about the way a culture is established, and that's a big way you establish if your culture is going to be competitiveness and nobody's handed anything and you got to earn it, and then the worst thing you could have done is come in, for spring ball and be like, this guy is the quarterback and everybody else is fighting to be the backup. Let it all play out. So
at every position, truly,
100%. Yeah. Do we think Noah Sewell is going to be unseated? Probably not. Would I be surprised if Christian Gonzalez, isn't starting at corner? Yeah. Based on the experience level of some of the other guys, but even that, even some of those jobs, you see rotations. I mean, we talk about Sewell. I mean, if you look at with him, once Justin Flo gets back in the mix, how good Jeff Bossa was last year, Jackson LeDuc, we saw it flashes late last season when he got back in, like how good he can be. Keith Brown is a young up and coming guy. I mean, there's all these guys that, they're going to be able to, Noah Sewell's not going to have to play every snap, so. At every position, watching the D-line right now is exciting because, some of the veteran guys are limited. So, Suave Pote's getting a ton of run and Taki in the middle is getting a ton of run. And, Jake Shipley, those guys are getting a big time chance to show what they can do. And, they're having to play a lot of snaps. So that's hard on them. But also, they're banking a ton of experience. So, yeah, there's just a zillion storylines this time of year for sure.
This is why I just ask him, what do you think?
Right. And to go down the rabbit hole.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For that. Yara Sabali to the Liberty. That's pretty cool.
Super cool. Yeah. Because of my sort of personal relationships to the program, I was over at KG's house for the watch party the other day with the team, and they were so excited for her. And It's just so weird, though, to be in an event like that with a bunch of kids, though, because every single one of them had their phone out and was, like, filming them watching it on TV so they could, like, put it on social media and, like, celebrate that in that way. And it was like, now I had my phone out, but I was filming them to produce content for our social media channels. But that's what I do, you know.
You get paid to
I don't
do
know.
that.
Is that hypocritical? Am I being a hypocrite?
I think that it's an observation.
Yeah. So,
it's an observation.
But hey, that's how they celebrate that moment.
Again,
yeah,
you are a professional regurgitator.
Yeah.
You're regurgitating their celebration.
Yeah, and I'm not judging the way they process it either.
That's right.
It was striking.
Yeah. Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. I have about 10 other bullet points for you that we're not going to get to today because, no offense, but people want to hear from Byron Cardwell.
Yep. More important than me.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
Appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next week. It's going to be spring game preview.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Enjoy practice tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks, dude.
And
you too.
Have a good quack minute.
All right.
All right.
It's all on you. I'm just the sidekick.
I'm going to be in
Oh, no, you're gone. That's right. We do have to have a good. Yeah. I guess it is all on me.
It's all on you.
I can barely keep my own schedule straight. You can't expect me to know yours as well.
We just talked about a date that you can't do for an interview for 2 weeks from now. That's great planning on your part.
That's true, yeah. But, you know, I was, like, laser focused on that. Actually, that was one of the 4 things I was doing in that moment. No wonder I can't remember it either. Basically, I was, yeah.
Multitasking extraordinaire.
Yep.
Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. When we come back, Byron Cardwell. Let's hear from him on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. My thanks to Rob Moseley for joining us. Byron Cardwell, Oregon running back. He met with the media, expecting big things from him. We're zeroing in on the running backs today. Here's Byron Cardwell.
This opportunity for spring is open for anyone, you in particular, to get some more playing time and earn that starting spot. Just how has this spring gone for you?
The spring is going well. Just getting used to the new staff and new offense, taking it day by day and just working with each other and having friendly competition. So, I mean, that position is still up for grabs and everybody's still working. No mindset of complacency.
Carlos mentioned that he doesn't give anybody anything. You got to earn everything with him. Just what's his coaching style been like, and what's it been like playing under him for 8 or 9 practices now?
Coach Locke, he reminds me a lot of my dad when I was younger. My dad was always on me because he seen the best in me. So Coach Locke sees the best in myself and all my other running back teammates. So he just pushes us every day, and we push each other. And He just expects nothing but the best, and his biggest thing is on the ball and discipline.
The offense, what's just been your interpretation of it and just the comfort level with installing a new offense?
At first, it's a little bit of adjustment because it's something new, but once you understand the basics and the concepts, it's very easy, and just play fast and you play with each other. And Coach Lanning's mindset with certain things is if everybody does it wrong, we all are all right. So just having that, and then just knowing your assignment, alignment, where you have to do, it helps out a lot. And then just coming up on weekends, just getting the film, that also helps with just understanding the plays.
We've seen Lanning a couple times stop like all of practice and have everyone look at him because the drill wasn't done right. Is that normal like in the previous staffs? And I guess how does the team respond to that when the entire practice has to shut down because one group wasn't doing their job right?
That was the same for last year. I feel like a lot of head coaches will do that if they feel like the energy of practice is kind of down.
Yeah.
So just wheeling everybody back in, getting everybody, okay, this is our goal. So that's just I thought that's a universal thing.
When you were learning the verbiage of this offense, just what was that process like? I know he changed it up to using the XYZ, AHT acronyms and stuff, but just how different was that compared to what you guys were doing before?
It wasn't too much different. Running back position is the running back position, so as long as you understand where you're aligning at and what the route is or where you're running the ball and where your reads are, it's very similar in all offenses, so it didn't make it too difficult.
Anything different just with more of a true, I know you guys have the tight end certainly off the edge, but it's a little bit different with the H-back role, particularly if they're in motion and things. It's a little bit different in this offense. Does that change anything for you in terms of lanes or reads or anything like that?
Not at all. Coach Locke's thing is we on fries, so what we cooking fries, so we just worry about that and we don't worry about what everybody else is doing.
He emphasized the intensity a lot. Him screaming at you guys during practice. How does that intensity impact the way you attack each rep and the way the running back room attacks each drill you guys do?
But Coach Locke doing that, it's a lot of passion, and you could tell that he has passion for the game and he really wants it. So it makes us play up to our best of our ability, and we just want to do better on the field for that.
Sean hasn't been able to just physically play the last couple of seasons. What's it like seeing him out there? It sounds like he's performing well, having big days and scrimmage, and today again Lanning brought him out. Just what's it like seeing a teammate like that go through what he went and performing now?
And Sean, it don't like he skipped a beat at all. He had his injury, I think last year it was, but shoot, he was working his mindset. He wanted to get back, and we just all supportive of him. And he's out there playing. The way he runs, it doesn't look like he messed his knee up. So we're just ready to go out there and just keep each other uplifted.
Last question from Byron. He's got class. When Travis left, Byron, you knew that there was going to be a change in the distribution at running back. So how do you view this spring, this offseason, in terms of the opportunity that could be before you in the fall and putting yourself in position to see that much greater distribution when the time comes?
For myself, just get myself mentally prepared, physically also, just staying my word, reading, talking to the Lord, staying in the playbook, staying healthy, being a great teammate. So just learning the offense and just being a great person around. So just get myself ready for this fall and then the season to come.
A lot of good stuff from Byron Cardwell. Expect big things from him. That running back room, man, there's some good competition, as you heard Carlos Locklyn talking about earlier. When we come back, we're going to focus in on one of the kickers, who's also a great golfer. Camden Lewis, talking with him next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
Money isn't interested in the fact that you dream of going to Greece, and it doesn't pace at night wondering how you'll pay for braces 3 times. The point is, money without people is just money. Only people can use it to run the family ranch, buy their first house, or adopt a happy old dog. To us, the powerful thing about money isn't money at all. It's helping you harness the power of yours. On Point. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Welcome back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joy Mack in the Country Financial Studio. We're going to hear a little bit from Camden Lewis and then hear a little bit from Bennett Williams and Chase Cota. If we don't get to everybody, trust me, tomorrow, Terry Johns has you covered. Camden Lewis, it was fun getting a chance to talk with one of the specialists for the Ducks, and kicking apparently is a lot like golfing. Camden Lewis.
Does your love for kicking, I know we talked about this last year, that sometimes you kick like a 9-iron or an 8-iron. You're kind of like, does that kind of translate to golf? Do you play golf?
I love golf, yeah, I do.
Where do you play most?
Where do I play?
Yeah.
I go to Pinehurst a lot, which is, but yeah, it's crazy how similar kicking and golf are, actually. Just as far as a swing goes, like a golf swing and a kicking swing. I mean, obviously I only have one club, I talked about that before, but yeah. And I've even mentioned in the past, like, weather changes what club I'm kicking, almost. You know what I mean? So, like, sometimes I'll kind of have to fight the ball down because, I wish I had that control of my golf ball, but I think I have a lot more control of football than I do, yeah, unfortunately. But my coaches are okay with that, so yeah, for sure.
Have you learned anything? I mean, Coach Lorig, is he somebody you're working with more than, who's working with you mostly on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, we work with Coach Lorig a lot, and then Coach Tinker, who's our quality control coach. Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a really good change. They've got really high standards, which is great because they have been around so many great kickers. Coach Lorig has been with some of the best kickers who are currently in the NFL. The guy from Penn State, Jordan Stout, is going to the NFL next, is incredible. So he holds us to a high standard. He knows what it looks like to be the best. He knows how to get there. So it's great to have a coach like that.
What is kind of the biggest day-to-day difference under him compared to the past?
I wouldn't say too much has changed as far as what we do. We do get more kicks at practice, which is nice. In the past we maybe got to kick 3 field goals at practice, and we've done a lot more situational stuff, which is really cool. Like the 2-minute drill. I don't know if you guys were out there for that or not, but 2-minute drill as far we do like third and long kind of stuff, and we're incorporating field goals and that kind of stuff into practice, which is awesome because in the past we just went ahead a field goal period and then that was it for the day, which is great. You can work on your stuff, but it's more game realistic, I would say, to be kind of thrown into it and been like, you don't know what to expect. You don't know exactly the distances you're kicking. You're just kind of going out there and doing it like you would in a game, which is very beneficial, I think.
Seems like it would help you remain pretty sharp, like at all times.
No, we know when it's coming, but we don't know exactly the down and distance. Like it's always different. Just cool.
Has there been any mechanical adjustments? Do they come in with any adjustments on how you kick it all? You feel like you've changed anything, or is it all pretty much the same?
Yeah, the offseason is definitely the time to make those changes because I don't really have to be worried about going out and making every kick right now. I can make mistakes in the offseason. So yeah, I definitely say spring ball is the time where I'm lengthening, shortening my steps. Am I like trying out different maybe cleats, stuff like that? Like there's definitely a lot of little details that I try to iron out, and this is the time to do it for sure.
Beyond the kickers that he's coached, he's also coached top 10 coverage units for years, so it's not merely, he had 10 great guys, but then another group comes like he's done it over and over. So in your role, how do you see what you have to do on kickoffs either change or be impacted? Like, yes, stuff the other 10 guys too, but what do you have to do any differently to get that kind of result like he's had at Penn State?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, your coverage is going to be pretty good when you have the best kicker in the country. You know what I mean? So we just need to give him the best ball we could give him. I need to get as good as I can on kick. I need to kick the ball as high and as far as I possibly can. That's really my job. You know, it's pretty simple. But I would definitely say the guys he's had in the past has helped, for sure. You know, if you have a guy who can get the ball in the air for 5 seconds, like, your coverage team's going to get down there, you know what I mean? And for sure, for me, it's just trying to replicate that and trying to give my coaches and my team the best ball I could possibly give them. Yeah.
Where do you kind of aiming to see some growth this season? Because we talked about how unique the journey is to getting better as a kicker, and you laid out some of your priorities, but where are you trying to grow in particular heading into this season?
My biggest goal is to get more touchbacks. That's something where I feel like I've struggled in the past. And just get more consistent in general. That's the goal as a kicker and a golfer, is to just, you know, get more consistent. Like, you want every ball to look the same. And it's hard to do because, like, you're trying to make the size of a quarter on your foot hit the size of a quarter on the ball, like the sweet spot. Like, it is very difficult to replicate that over and over and over. But the more you do it, the more I get out here, the less that the nerves start to go away. As I get older, the consistency starts to get better and better. And I think consistency as far as kickoffs, because, like, I've kicked touchbacks in the past. I had a decent year last year, nowhere near as good as I hoped to be, but yeah, I just want to get that ball in the end zone every single time. I want to kick every ball right down the middle of the post. Like, that's the goal, and the consistency is what I'm definitely working on, for sure.
Back to place kicking, how important is the continuity from the snapper to the holder? Because you and Karsten and Tom have had quite a bit of experience now doing this. How beneficial can that be for you?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. Because you got to trust him, you know what I mean? Like, I'm swinging my leg to the ball as his hands are coming off the ball, you know what I mean? Like, there's split seconds of trust that have to be there. And I think that's, like I said, something that comes from doing it every single day. And we get so comfortable with each other that we can get our op times lower and lower. And yeah, I just kind of have to trust, you know, I got to rely on them. And we have a good relationship too, which helps. You know, I know the guys, like I know Karsten, I know Tom, they're good guys, they're my best friends, so, you know, that helps. But yeah, you just got to trust, really.
Did that help you think in terms of the improvements you saw last year? Was that part of it? Was just getting that trust, or is that just
Definitely played a factor. Because I already had a year with the guys, right. You know. Even as a freshman, I had been kicking with, I mean, Tom wasn't the holder my freshman year, but I still kicked with him, like, you know, during practice all the time. So once you've got 3 years with a guy and you've been doing the same thing for 3 years almost every single day, it becomes second nature almost. And, you know, when you get a new guy holding, like, it, you know, the way their mannerisms are different. Even in a snapper, they snap the ball at a different time period. Like, you know, Karsten will snap the ball immediately after, like, a certain call, like for our cadence. Like, I'll know exactly when it's coming because there's a little pause, you know, snappers have. Some snappers will go right on the cadence. Some will have a little break. And I know it now. I know what he does, which is cool. It's like science.
Camden Lewis, man, rooting for that guy. And having a good kicker makes the difference in a lot of big-time situations, doesn't it? I think Camden Lewis has really started to embrace his role. There's no doubt about that. I want to get a timeout. When we come back, we're going to hear from Bennett Williams. A little earlier break today than normal because Bennett talked for nearly 12 minutes, and he is one that you should listen to. Bennett Williams talking defense next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s, like go back to college, learn to skateboard, Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. At aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a free 3-minute chat with the friendly digital retirement coach, Avo, and receive personalized tips to help boost your savings. Start chatting with Avo today at aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back on Nugget Cider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Hoodoo. Longtime supporters of Oregon athletics. Dig into deep savings at hoodoo.com. I want to hear from Bennett Williams. We said we were going to focus in on the running backs. We did that earlier with Coach Locklyn and Byron Cardwell. I loved hearing from Camden Lewis. He's so easy to root for the guy. And just after you hear him talk like that. And then Bennett Williams, you talk about a guy who's easy to root for. This one might be at the top of the list. Bennett Williams is one of the most thoughtful players that you're going to find in this Oregon defense. Dealt with injury last year, and now I think they're expecting big things from defensive back Bennett Williams.
How good does it feel to be out there playing football again after the injury last year?
Good. After any injury like that, you kind of just question things again. You kind of reevaluate, everything. And right after that injury, I had it in my mind, I'm coming back. Not necessarily, back for another year, but I was just like, I'm going to make it back this season, at some point. And so having that in my mind definitely helped me come back.
Do you feel like you have a new appreciation for the sport kind of after having it put in jeopardy like that?
Yeah, I've had injuries, throughout my career. That was one of the biggest ones. So missing a season like that after, playing pretty well is tough, but, like as you said, I think I am so much more grateful, this year and every day coming up here and not taking things for granted.
What was the decision process for you? Where, again, some folks on the outside go, well, he got hurt, so naturally he's going to come back for another year.
Yeah.
But it's a 6th year for you, so it's not just an absolute.
Yeah.
So what was your thought process in terms of coming back for another go versus trying to get paid today?
Yeah, that was definitely a thought in my mind, going out through that whole season. I knew I wanted to play in the bowl game, and I was able to do that, fortunately.
Chase Code over here.
I didn't know what to do. And when, Coach Landon got hired, and I saw those guys come in, and I'm like, I felt overall just that it was a better decision to come back. More money to be made, hopefully, if I, have a good season this year. Looking ahead to the NFL draft next year.
You don't have to disclose anything on your end, but a lot of situations like this, the NIL could factor into helping a player say, I'm going to stay a year because I can now have the opportunity to make money while you're in school. Like,
yeah.
Do you see that on your end as a factor?
100%. And obviously NIL is going to, it's going to change up the whole game. It already has been in terms of recruiting, all that stuff. But, for me, that was definitely a thing that factored in. I'm thinking, well, there is money to be made. Obviously, it's not going to compare to, what it would look like, going to the draft. And that's ultimately my main goal. But, yeah, it's nice to have a little extra money in your pocket.
So that factored into your decision?
Yeah, a little bit, especially at a place like this, right? Like, you're not going to go anywhere else. Especially looking, at transferring or anything like that, you wouldn't go anywhere else that you would be better than this in terms of NIL deals and stuff. And I just was I was feeling a good sense of family within the team, not necessarily the coaches, because that's going to change and stuff. But a lot of factors that came into that decision.
Do you think that's the reason why a lot of the guys transferred to Oregon too? You got like Christian coming here, a few other guys transferred in. Do you think that NIL is a reason for that?
I think it always will play in. Like there's it might not be the main focus, and for some guys it might be, or the main reason that somebody comes here. Like for Gonzo, I don't think that's, the main thing that brought him here, but you look at Oregon as a whole, as a brand, as a program, and why wouldn't you want to be here? That's how I look at it.
How has spring been going for you, and being back in this kind of competitive spot with you and Jamal, as opposed to just one of you guys moving back purely to deep safety. I'm sure you both very much want to play a whole bunch, and that was kind of the plan last year too. But what how spring kind of looks so far?
Spring's been awesome so far. We're having a lot of fun, and being able to. Now it's like me and Jamal aren't really competing anymore. We are every day, you know what I'm saying, pushing each other to get better. But at this point, we're learning all different positions. I'm playing, the star, learning the boundary really well as the free safety, and dime position. So I'm learning a lot of different stuff. I don't feel like I'm competing at any spot necessarily, but just trying to get myself as good as possible.
When you're learning all those spots, with what they do in simulated pressure, and I know Coach Pallage had done quite a bit of it at Baylor, and obviously Dan had done a lot of it at Georgia.
Yeah.
Putting that many more pieces, because nickel does a good amount of that already, but to do it from the deep safety spots as well on a down-to-down basis potentially, how different is that than what you were doing previously?
It's different. This defense, I can't say enough about. I'm so excited to get to play in it, and just the stuff that we've already put in these, 2 weeks of spring ball is so far advanced, so far ahead of anything that I've learned. But that's, perfect, looking at it from a personal level, perfect for me, in that transition to the NFL. And I think we're going to confuse so many offenses this year. Just with the different looks that we give, we're going to play a physical brand of football, but those guys are Coach Lanning and Coach Lapointe are geniuses back there. So,
pretty high praise from Bennett Williams on playing different spots. Ducks are going with more, I think, it's safe to say, defensive backs, not just separating like, okay, you're the star. You're one type of cornerback. You're one type of safety. They're going with defensive backs. They're going to use guys in different spots. That's not abnormal for the spring, I should point out. A lot of coaches will do that. A lot of players will move around in the spring. But I get the feeling that Coach Lanning just really values versatility, particularly on the back end with the way that he coaches his defense. And you know what? He's had the top defense in 2 of the last 3 seasons, Dan Lanning has. Must be doing something right. Now he's the head coach for the Ducks. Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Cafe Yum restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington. Special diet requests always welcome. Menus cafeyum.com. Men's tennis head coach Neil Schielander. 2 new additions to the roster. Romanian standout Vlad Briezu is joining the Oregon men's tennis team next fall. He's ranked as high as number 2 nationally in the Romanian U18 rankings last year. He won the national championship in doubles. Pretty cool. Also, head coach Neil Schielander announced the signing of Ray Lowe to the Oregon men's tennis team. Joins the program after 2 seasons at Wichita State. He won 6 of his last 8 singles matches this spring for the Shockers, and they're pretty pumped up for that addition to the Oregon men's tennis roster. Men's golf, Oregon took advantage of slightly better playing conditions Tuesday. They're on the course as we speak here on a Wednesday, looking for another top 5 finish. It was an absolute windstorm on Monday, by the way. Nobody shot par. In the entire field, nobody shot par. Ducks improved. They're one of a few teams that are improving in the scores here on a Wednesday. We'll have a full update for you tomorrow. I'm hitting the road to Seattle. Oregon baseball 3-game set starts tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Terry Johns has you covered for Duck Insider. More football interviews after tomorrow's practice. Full weekend preview. See you then.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care would love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're not too cool for me, and in return, I